What is going on, everybody? This is Justin Martinez, aka Jay the Sports Dude, coming to y'all live from my apartment. Hopefully you all are staying at your homes as well, practicing social distancing and staying safe during this pandemic, and I'm here to provide y'all with just a little bit of extra entertainment. That's right, folks, it is time for the latest episode of Aggie Mailbag, the weekly web series where I answer your guys' most pressing questions about the New Mexico State men's basketball team. This is every Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and yes, I did say Friday. It used to be Thursdays, however, with my Straight Shooter web series going on Wednesdays, and with this being a one-man show, I find it just a little bit easier if I can have a day in between. I hope you guys are okay with that, but that's what we're going to be doing. Wednesday, Straight Shooter. Friday, Aggie Mailbag. Shout out to everybody who's sending questions for this episode. We have 3 questions on the docket, and if you guys want to send some my way moving forward, well, there's plenty of ways to do that. You can find me on Twitter, that is at JayTheSportsDude. You can email me, which is jmmartinez@gannett.com. You can find me on Facebook, which is the Las Cruces Sun News Sports page, and you can find me on the message boards of Aggie Alert, which is going to be popping up right here. Now, without any further ado, folks, let's go ahead and get into it. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and get started with question number 1. I have my trusty mailbag beside me, and this first one is going to be coming to us courtesy of Cameron Montano via YouTube. He wants to know, who do you think had the best defense in the WAC this past season? Now, it was very close. I went back and forth here, but I'm actually going to give the slight edge to Missouri, Kansas City over New Mexico State. And I know what you're saying, Justin, you're crazy. The Aggies did allow the fewest points per game in WAC play last season at 59.7 points per game, compared to the Roos in second place at 65.9 points per game. But a closer look at the advanced stats is actually going to make me have to lean towards the latter. Now, opponents recorded an effective field goal percentage of just 47.3% against Kansas City last season in WAC play, which ranked second in the conference. Meanwhile, New Mexico State came in 7th in that department at 49.8%. Then the Roos also won the turnover battle. Opponents turned the ball over 21.5 times per 100 possessions in WAC play against them, which ranked second in the conference. Meanwhile, opponents turned the ball over 19.4 times per 100 possessions against the Aggies, which only ranked 5th in that department. Now, Kansas City also had a higher block percentage and a higher steal percentage than New Mexico State, which makes it really hard for me to go with the Aggies in this department, specifically defense, despite them being the better overall team, which kind of goes without saying that they were, since they won both contests. But you got to give credit where credit is due, and because of that, when we're talking just defense, I am going with the Roos last season. Alrighty guys, let's keep it moving to question number 2. I'm reaching right back into the mailbag here, and this one is going to be coming to us courtesy of @TidleyGibbon via Twitter. He wants to know, if basketball goes to only conference games, what seed do you think New Mexico State would get if it went undefeated? Now, that is a great question, and it's definitely a real possibility with the way that we're seeing the college football landscape shake out at the moment. And if it does happen with basketball, I think the few teams in the country would be as hurt by a conference-only schedule as New Mexico State would be. And I know I sound like I'm being dramatic, but I'm really not here, guys. Of the 32 Division I basketball conferences last season, KenPom ranked the WAC as it's the 17th most competitive conference out there in the country. And because this has been the norm for the Aggies, they're usually left having to schedule a more aggressive non-conference schedule in order to prove themselves to the committee. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 2017-2018 campaign, for example. Now, New Mexico State actually had the 66th toughest non-conference schedule in the country, according to KenPom, and earned a pair of top 50 wins over Miami and over Davidson. The Aggies then went 12-2 in WAC play, and despite those pair of conference losses, they still earned a 12 seed in the NCAA tournament. Now, let's go ahead and look at this past season. New Mexico State only had the 139th toughest non-conference schedule and earned just 1 top 50 win over Mississippi State. The Aggies then went 16-0 in WAC play, making history, and yet ESPN's Joe Lunardi only gave them a 13 seed in his final tournament projection, and for a good part of last season, even had them at a 14 seed. Now, this shows the importance of having a strong non-conference schedule, and above all else, winning those games as well. So New Mexico State definitely would be playing under a lowered ceiling if they weren't to have those games this upcoming season. And under that circumstance, I could see the Aggies being in that range of a 13 to a 14 seed in the NCAA tournament, even if they were to go undefeated in WAC play. Alrighty guys, we are here on the home stretch with our third and final question of today, of this week. And this one is going to be coming to us courtesy of @JackDelaga via Twitter. He wants to know, what's the outlook on Trevelin Queen continuing New Mexico State's recent success in the NBA or G League? Now, I am planning on putting out a more in-depth article on Queens' NBA prospects as we get closer to draft day, which is October 16th, by the way, but I can definitely talk about it a little bit here. Now, he has been getting attention from NBA scouts, and there are a number of reasons why. On that list is his passing vision at his position. Now, the 6'6" forward ranked second on the Aggies last season in total assists with 63, and his turnover rate of 17.1 ranked fourth lowest on the squad, according to Ken Palm. Queen also shot the ball fairly efficiently himself. The 23-year-old averaged 13.3 points per game last season while shooting 37.5% from deep and 54.3% from inside the arc, throwing some high-flying dunks and an ability to crash the glass really well, averaging 1.9 offensive rebounds per game last season. And Queen brings a little bit of everything to the table on offense without really specializing in one department, but on the defensive end is a whole other story. That's where he really boosted his draft stock. Now, this is a guy who is able to disrupt passing lanes at will, and that really shined during his time with New Mexico State. He actually averaged 2.6 steals per 40 minutes across both seasons, and he also proved to be a solid perimeter defender. Now, with good closeout speed, the ability to also guard the 2 spot, and a strong motor, Queen can certainly hold his own defensively at that next level. Now, with all that being said, there are also some things lowering his stock. He is 23 years old in a draft era dominated by one-and-done talent, and he's also playing in the WAC, which, as we talked about earlier in question number 2, is a far cry from Power 5 competition. I still feel that he will be a late second-round selection, but it's equally likely that he will narrowly go undrafted, and if that does happen, I feel that he will be quickly snatched up by a team and given a chance to earn a 2-way deal. Now, I am going to be talking about this more in an article later on as we get closer to draft day, and it's there that I'll actually break down some game film on Trev from his time at New Mexico State. I'll be showing his player comparisons, his ceiling, his floor, and I'll even be talking about some possible landing spots and fits in the NBA. So keep an eye out for that. But for now, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Aggie Mailbag. Shout out to everybody who is watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified every time that we upload here, because we're bringing you guys a lot of great content. And if you guys want to read the article version of this, it's the same questions, the same answers, just it is a written version. That's going to be popping up right here on our LC Sun News website. Make sure to check that out as well, guys. And once again, thank you so much for tuning into this. This has been Justin Martinez, aka Jay the Sports Dude, and I'm out.